Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review is from 2014, and it's In Order of Disappearance, starring Stellan Skarsgård and Bruno Ganz, directed by Peter Moland. Now this is a snowbound black comedy about a man who wins Citizen of the Year in his small Danish town. He's in charge of keeping the roads clear, so he has a wonderful big snowmobile, and he kind of escorts traffic as he's ploughing through the snow all year round. It's certainly one of my favourite snow films. It's right up there with The Great Silence. You also have Fargo and Legend and other wonderful snow films. But his son turns up dead of an apparent overdose, but he is somewhat suspicious because his son, as far as he's concerned, isn't a drug addict. And another friend of his son turns up, and it's discovered that he stole a bag of cocaine from the local drug dealers and local gangsters, and this is their payback for that discrepancy. So Skarsgård goes on full revenge mode as he begins to off the guys in the gang all the way up to the boss. Now, if this sounds a little bit familiar, it's because Peter Moland remade the film for Hollywood in 2019 with Liam Neeson called Cold Pursuit, which I didn't actually realise until I looked up the director once I'd watched the film. I haven't seen Cold Pursuit, and I'm not really going to go and watch Cold Pursuit. It's up to yourself. Would you rather have Stellan Skarsgård or Liam Neeson? Because Liam Neeson, no doubt, will say he has a unique set of skills. He can use a snowmobile. This kind of reminds me of the black comedies that cropped up after Pulp Fiction. The black comedies about hitmen and gangsters and kind of miscommunication and crossed wires. And a lot of them just weren't very good. They were just kind of jumping on the black comedy bandwagon. But this one is a lot of fun. It has that Scandinavian sense of humour. Skarsgård, again, he's stone-faced best, but he still manages to have a lot of humour. The violence is handled very well. It's kind of more realistic. There's a scene where he gets to one of the guys in the gang, and by the time he's finished beating them up, they're both absolutely exhausted, and they kind of lie down and actually have a laugh about the fact that they're absolutely exhausted. That's before Skarsgård finishes the job. So it's not quite like, a one-man army taking on all these, people. He generally gets them one-on-one, and he has the element of surprise because he doesn't look like somebody that would actually cause them any problems. There's lots of lovely pieces of humour, like the whole business of gangsters having silly nicknames and why that is. He has an estranged brother who used to work for the head of the gang's dad. At one point he goes to him out of desperation to hire a hitman, which well, you can watch the film and see how that goes. Um, Bruno Ganz turns up as the Serbian gang boss, who are on opposing sides to the Danish gang. The head of the Danish gang, once about 3 of his workers disappear, he assumes that the Serbians, who they have a kind of tentative peace with as far as territory, they've half the territory, he thinks the Serbians are crossing the line and want to take over, so they kill one of the Serbian gang, who happens to be Bruno Gans's only son. So Bruno Gans wants to kill the head of the Danish boss's son, who's only a teenager. But it ends up Skarsgård has the same idea, so he kidnaps him. And again, it's cross purposes. The violence is strong at times, and it has a wonderful little gimmick of people's names appear and kind of which way they're going to be buried. The kind of symbol for, there's a Star of David for a character, there's the Catholic cross, there's, and sometimes we don't actually see the person die. All it takes is like a throat slash, and then it goes to a black screen with the person's name up. Again, it's a gimmick that might not have worked, but I think it does work, and it adds humour to the piece. It's got quite a high body count, and again, that's quite a funny moment as well. After it's a scene where a few people meet their end that just comes up with a screen, and there's quite a lot of crosses and names appear in the screen. I would say one of the perhaps criticisms of the film is that the Danish boss is a bit cartoonish. Again, there's lots of films where you need to have the villain, over the top, and he's got to have a gimmick. So the head of the Danish boss is a vegan, and that's his thing, that's the gimmick. He goes on about how much he's a vegan and all of that. But unfortunately, I think that's played way too over the top, and it could have been brought down a couple of notches. But really, that's the only kind of criticism I would have, that the boss is a little bit too cartoony. Bruno Gans as the Serbian boss is restrained, but he's a piece of work, whereas they've obviously decided that the Danish boss has to be one of those over the top psychotic villains, which it mars it a little bit. That could have been toned down, just from my perspective. But again, you can let me know in the comments how you feel about the big villain. But on the whole, it's a load of fun. It's just under 2 hours. Again, like I say in all my videos, or most of my videos, it's probably a touch too long. But again, it's a world that you actually want to spend a bit more time in, just because the characters are a lot of fun. But like I say, there is some strong violence in it, even though it's a 15. Again, I would probably make it an 18, but I would probably go up the way in most certifications of films. It has a lovely kind of subdued score that isn't there all the time. There's something kind of calming and relaxing about the shots with Skarsgård in the snowmobile as he's throwing all the snow off the road. And that kind of is a nice balance to the kind of black humour and the abrupt bouts of violence that appear in the film. Just scenes in slow motion of him snow ploughing and the snow going off the road in the air. It's it's quite relaxing. It's perhaps not that deep of a film as far as, you know, the actual ramifications on the soul of getting revenge, but as a piece of entertainment, it is a lot of fun, or at least I thought it was a lot of fun. But again, it's Danish and subtitles, and if you want to check out the remake with Liam Neeson, Cold Pursuit in 2019, you can, and let me know what you think of it, but I don't think I'll bother, to be honest. I think I'd rather have Stellan Skarsgård and Bruno Gans, because there's a scene later in the film where both of them are together, and it is actually quite moving. There's not a lot of dialogue between the two, it's just looks, and it is two wonderful actors just sharing some space and time, which is actually quite moving, really. Yeah, in order of disappearance, and like I said, the names of the people who die in the film appear as they disappear, which is a lovely touch. So again, thanks very much for watching. Please let me know in the comments below if you've seen In Order of Disappearance or Cold Pursuit, the remake made by the same director with Liam Neeson. And hopefully you'll join me again for more random reviews. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.